Good evening and welcome. My name is Tony Brewer, and along with Joan Hawkins and Kyle Quass, we co-produce together this event, which is the Writers Guild of Bloomington second Thursday spoken word series. We do a little bit of everything at this series. We do a little bit of spoken word, we do a little bit of poetry, some storytelling, we do radio theater sometimes, staged readings of plays and whatnot. But tonight we have a fantastic trio of features who are all good friends. And I think good friends with me as well. And they're pillars in their own right, in their own communities. Dan, Sully, Sullivan, Siren Hand, and Dr. Adam Henze joining us tonight. I have a few things that I have to tell you, though, before we get to that. We are sponsored in part by the Indiana Arts Commission, the Bloomington Arts Commission, and the Bloomington Urban Enterprise Association. The Writers Guild of Bloomington wishes to acknowledge and honor the indigenous communities native to this region and recognize that Indiana University and the city of Bloomington is built on indigenous homelands and resources. We recognize the Miami, Delaware, Potawatomi, and Shawnee people as past, present, and future caretakers of this land. This is a very busy time here at the Writers Guild, so I got a few things I wanted to tell you about. Third Sunday Write is our virtual space where you can find writing prompts in the company of other writers. It is a private Facebook page where you can respond to prompts posted monthly. You may then write and post at any time during the month and offer a response by sharing a line from their piece in the comments. For more information or to join the group, contact Shauna Ritter at shauna747@gmail.com. Include Third Sunday in your subject line. I have to mention the Kyle Quass Creative Residency. We're winding down. We're almost done. There are two more. The penultimate one is tomorrow. So Kyle Quass has been doing these residency. He's doing solo and duet music improvisations, and these last four have been with sax player and quartet impresario Marty Belcher, who's a fantastic player in his own right. And there are two more, Friday, August 15th and Friday, August 27th at 7 at the Pillar Arts Alliance Center over there at College Mall. And they've just moved. They're in, I'm sure you're all familiar with the old Victoria's Secret location. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. So that's where they're at now. It's really nice. It's kind of frilly in there. There's like tons of drawer space, as you might imagine, because you gotta have room for all your drawers. And I also want to mention happy birthday to Kyle. It was a couple of days ago, but happy birthday to Kyle Quass.
How old is he?
Oh, we won't get into that. Come on now. 23.
It's James's birthday too. Let's give it a shout out to
Oh, and James Dorr. That's right. It's James Dorr's birthday as well. We'll hear from James a little later, I believe so. Yeah, James Dorr. Also happening this Saturday, the Writers Guild annual picnic, which is this Saturday, August 16th, from 1 to 4 at the Fellowship Hall of the University Baptist Church over there on 3rd Street. This is our annual potluck gathering and open mic. It's BYO. Please bring a dish if you wish, along with some words to share for the open mic. There will also be a free grab bag giveaway with fun literary themed prizes. I was just made aware of this today, so I'm buying all the raffle tickets because I'm a winner. So that's this Saturday, August 16th from 1 to 4. Also, wanted to mention the Writers Guild is hosting a poetry on demand booth at Pride Fest this year. It's the first time we're going to be doing our thing at Pride Fest, and that is Saturday, August 23rd from 2 to 8 p.m. Location TBA, although I think it's somewhere on Kirkwood. I'm not exactly sure where all of the locations are yet because they haven't told me, but that's from 2 to 8. A bunch of us here in the room are going to be making poems for people, including two of our features, I think, if you guys are still on board.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
I'm on board and I was paying attention at the same time.
I know, yeah. Speaking of, the Writers Guild Spoken Word Stage is coming up at the 4th Street Festival of the Arts and Crafts, Saturday, August 30th from 10 to 6 p.m. and Sunday, August 31st from 10 to 5 p.m. Labor Day weekend, we'll be at the intersection of 4th and Grant, also doing a poetry on demand booth. This is one of the largest spoken word stages in the Midwest, 2 days of spoken word of poets, storytellers. We're doing, Curtis Chrysler is doing a pop-up Indiana Chitlin Circuit reading with Karen Kovacic and Norbert Croft, 2 former Indiana Poets Laureate. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a great show. It always is. Hopefully the weather holds, but come out and see us. Immediately following that, on Sunday, August 31st, the last Sunday poetry reading and open mic from 7 to 8:30 at Morgenstern Books out there on Auto Mall Road. Also with open mic to follow. And this month, our featured poets are J.L. Cotto and John K. Kruschka. Did I get that right? Kruschke. Thank you. Kruschke. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And holy crap, I've come to the end. So next time, be sure and join us right back here on Thursday, September 11th at 6, right here at Backspace Gallery for poets Jason Bollinger from Pittsburgh and our good friend John Dorsey out there from Missouri in the Osage Arts community. Still working on the music for that. So there you go. I wanted to mention too, you may have seen the postcards. This is not till November, but we wanted to start typing it. The Power of Storytelling by Aminata Forna, who is doing is this a reading that she's doing?
No, it's a talk.
Is it a talk?
Yeah.
Cool. That we are co-sponsoring, and that's at the Monroe County Public Library Auditorium. It's early, but we wanted to start getting the word out, more details to come. And some of you have also been checking out, but if you have a moment during the break, check out the art on the walls. It's a pretty fantastic exhibition right now. National Anthem, Punk Patriotism by Catherine Coors-Rossman. It's a really fantastic exhibit, as you can see. There's actually a lot of stuff that's been not missing, but it's been taken down, maybe even sold since the opening a couple weeks ago. Some of the wares over here, I think, are for sale as well. And lastly, I wanted to mention we are a deserving 501c3 not-for-profit corporation here at the Writers Guild. And, we do a lot of work to make things free and accessible for everyone. If there's any funds you can shovel our way, we'd sure appreciate it. As you can see, there's QR codes, all your favorite flavors of payment apps are available. Somebody gave me $20, so it's just, we also take cash, obviously, coin of the realm. So if you're able, if you're willing, it helps lighten the load here at the Writers Guild of Bloomington. So we appreciate your patronage. All right, enough out of me. I want to get to our features this evening. Like I said, fantastic trio, and you're gonna love. I think you already love them. That's why you're here. That's why it's a big room tonight. First up is Dan Sullivan. He is a poet and educator based here in Bloomington, Indiana. You probably know him as one of the voices leading the Bloomington Poetry Slam. His performances have been featured on HBO Def Poetry Jam, WGN Morning News, and National Public Radio. His latest book is from Haymarket Books called Oh Body. Please welcome Dan Sullivan.
WGN Morning News is always so funny to me in my bio. That's just like a local news channel in Chicago, and there's no reason for that to be there, but it makes me happy. So yeah, my name's Dan Sullivan, but everybody calls me Sully, so please feel free to do so. I work at IU. I'm assistant director of the intensive freshman seminars. We're in the heart of things. My students just moved in on Sunday. I've been putting in like 15-hour work days. So I had an extra cup of coffee at 2 p.m. today, which, I'm 40 plus, so it doesn't add up real well. It didn't make me feel more awake, but I do feel weird. Having coffee later in the day just means that I'm gonna try to fall asleep from 9 to 1. Okay, so this book, Oh Body, it came out last year, and it is, oh thanks, and it is a migration narrative. It follows me moving from Chicago, where I was born and raised, to Bloomington. It's the story of a relationship up to a point and the journey into becoming a father. But the through line throughout all of it is the journey of learning to live in and love my own body. I'm gonna read some poems from that in a little bit, but because I was in the world of the book for the past year, I've really been struggling to try and find my way back to a very writerly practice daily. Been in the editing stage of some things. I'm working on a new anthology I'm excited about, but I haven't been in the day-to-day of my writing again. So this is new. It's new shit.
New shit.
And it's just about writer's block right now, I think. Try to think of something absurd, impossible, really. Arthur's sword and stone, but the sword is a morning headline or your paper served. So let's throw at it a fat duck with a backpack on, a baseline that makes all your neighbors wobble. Yeah, let your own teeth rattle like dice in a cup. Let that thought be your roadmap. No street names, just arrows shaped like arteries connected in centrality. The map will try to tell you what to do. Maybe you'll obey it to some extent. Swim in it, fish for it, hook, line, sink. Don't work so hard. Let it eat at you. Come hawking up the runway with its jaws cracked. Don't be so metered, so scared, so presented. Write a postcard under its control, break free, then cough on it. Send it to all your dead memories and see where you're at then. Let those eager skeletons bite and hem and haw and try to push themselves back into your present flesh like pennies. Don't you just want to be wet cement sometimes? Those empty bones won't get to where they're going. They'll wander past all the obvious exits and stand at the edge of the wrong continent because they don't and won't ever have your impossible map. So Hulk Hogan just passed away, and I knew, he's, if you don't know Hulk Hogan, he's a famous racist. It feels very fitting to think about Hulk Hogan in this kind of punk patriotism artwork here, this gallery showing. Catherine's work is really beautiful. So Hulk Hogan, I won't have any like revisionist history, like he wasn't a huge part of a kind of section of my childhood. But I thought since he just passed, I had written some poems about a professional wrestler named Yokozuna. Yeah, a few folks know Yokozuna. A while back when I was writing the book and thinking about the body, thinking about fatness and the body and my own body. And I'll talk about more of that in a little bit, but since Hulk Hogan passed away recently, I uncovered these poems and thought I would bring them here. So this is called Everyone Wants to See Yokozuna Get Body Slammed. It's a wonder how anything gets done in a ring coated with baby oil, but 10,000 fans roar like a monster truck engine, chant for a man in red underwear to defeat the foreigner. Yokozuna enters the other side of the ring slowly, lifting all the weight of his right leg onto the canvas. Two women in kimonos hand him yellow bouquets and bow. He's the fattest pro wrestler in history at 568 pounds, nearly twice Hulk Hogan's 308 and 24-inch pythons. A slow-burning shakuhachi hushes the arena. Yokozuna's real name is Rodney. He's Samoan, not Japanese. No one here has to know. Never a real sumatori, but needed an image that Hulkamaniacs could pour their heat onto, something more other. Now he lifts his left leg. It takes time. Hulk Hogan spits, "I fear no man, no beast or evil, brother." Hogan's come a long way since Thunderlips. Rocky's the only fighter more American than Hulkster, but that doesn't matter at King of the Ring. Here, Hulk is president. He gestures to the audience, hand up to one ear to say, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. He yells into the camera, the ether, the middle distance, middle America, something in proximity to truth. He's hopped up on the same thing as the crowd, something like hot dogs and righteousness. Yokozuna is looming. He consumes the dark corner. Hulk is steadfast under his shadow. This is how the real American sees himself. The underdog to a threat without language, only the nuclear menace of mass. When the bell rings, they tie up arms, bounce off ropes, knee drop, phantom punch, clothesline, headbutt, elbow smash, leg crash. Hogan is on the ground, convulsing. Everyone expects this. He has to almost lose before he can win. He is on his knees, but what's that look on his face? Turning tide, patriotism, survival. He's back up, throws 3 swift punches. The crowd counts, each one in chant. Yokozuna ends face down. Just 3 taps from the referee that America wins. But first, Hogan signals. Body slam to the audience, and they erupt. Suddenly, a photographer's flash malfunctions. Sparks blind Hogan in the best unintentional metaphor in pro wrestling history. In seconds, Yokozuna taps out Hulk and takes the belt with him. The audience turns white. They collect their jean jackets, plod tight-lipped and confused down arena stairwells, drive their station wagons all the way home, and carry with them all the static they can hold in 2 fists. So part of the reason I wrote a bunch of these Yokozuna poems, and I loved them. I loved thinking about Rodney. But part of the reason they didn't end up in the book is as I looked at the series of them, and some of them were persona poems, that one felt more like I was able to see it. I remember watching that King of the Ring, when I was a kid. And unfortunately, I had to watch it back a bunch of times on YouTube to write that home. But, that was me. It's sort of, I can have a perspective within that. But persona poems, I was like, there's not that much really known about Rodney, other than he is The Rock's cousin. That's something I learned. And I couldn't, as I was writing body image poems, write about his body, right? Or project onto him my own body image stuff, especially from a point of privilege. So those never made it into the book, but I'm glad they have some context to live here right now. So I'll read one more of those. This one's called Yokozuna Goes to Starbucks on Powell Street and Orders the Usual. Rodney stands in line with everyone else. Rodney orders his favorite, a venti whole milk vanilla latte, 1 pump. The barista asks Rodney's name. Rodney says, Rodney. The barista writes Rodney on his cup, replaces the O with a heart balloon. Rodney orders 2 raspberry scones. The barista asks Rodney if he wants butter. Rodney says, no, I'm trying to watch my figure. The barista laughs politely. Rodney sees her brown eyes flit. Rodney likes this feeling harmless. Rodney sits at a clean table and waits for his name to be called. Rodney opens the newspaper to the want ads. Rodney thinks, this is what want looks like. Then, what am I wanting? So this next series of poems, and I'm going to read this as one poem, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Tony. But this is a series of poems that goes throughout the book called "I'm Looking at My Own Body." They all share the same title, and I wrote all of these poems kind of on the right side of the page, boxed in, looking for some semblance of control in thinking about body. And originally they were all written without punctuation to kind of feel the chaos of trying to control all of that. I added punctuation into most of them because it was really hard to read. But these are kind of landmarks throughout the book. They're touch points. They help ground me in the book, I think. And so I wanted to read them as a series and thinking about them as one poem. And I wanted to try that out here. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. I am one of the hosts of the Bloomington Poetry Slam. We return on Friday, September 26th. We're very excited, Andrea, Gabe, Joseph, and I, so come check us out. All right. I'm looking at my own body. 1. I'm built like all my uncles, like a football coach, like a football, like a couch, like a teardrop camper, like a yoga ball, like a pink Prius, like a pulpit, like a poorly assembled barn, like half a Nancy's pizza, like a block of cheddar. I look like, I smell like a cabin, like I just ate your auntie's Labor Day casserole, like I like Seth Rogen movies. I like a whole milk latte, like I just have to embrace the man boob, like hold myself in the mirror, like a mirror is different than a photo, like I don't know if I see what I want to or need to, like I see how I regulate gravity, like gravity loves me too much, like damn gravity, I need some space. 2. She apologizes for posting a picture of me online without a shirt on, as if she anticipates the way I wince when I catch myself on screen. I don't want her to see me feeling unattractive. My coworker Shane wears sweats to the office and doesn't bat a lash. They say black is slimming, but it's not my color. I'm more envy or disconsolate. I tailor every pair of flat front pants I buy. I bet I spend more time thinking about optical illusions than anyone. A peppered beard lengthens me, makes a road of a molehill. It must be freeing for some folks not to think about their body when they walk into the office or a classroom or a bedroom. There's no easy way to feel uncomfortable. Whoever said nothing tastes as good as skinny feels has never been to Pierogi Fest in Whiting, Indiana. But I have been. Thin, and there's something else to feel too. 3. Noah said the only reason we celebrate anything is for the food. I want to celebrate the body I'm in, but everything that fits has got a letter X on its collar, like my framework's taboo, like I'm at a threshold, like I'm crossing over, like I'm an unknown quantity. Am I oversharing if I say that I'm fat? I know you know. I'm just walking, and a man on the street works to get my attention, repeats, hey big guy, hey big guy. He asked for $2, and now I'm more aware of my own body than his situation. Point it out, and I'll think about it, but don't point it out. That's the point. It's like an elephant in my bedroom. Do you assume I spend too much time consuming? This is not about control. I'm thinking more about chaos. Coward and outlaw look similar on paper. By chaos, I think I mean perception. By coward, confidence. By outlaw, free. I'm a fractal composite of what I think you see. What do you think? From where I'm standing, how many shadows I cast depends on how much light there is. 4. Some truck stop in September with a burger joint on its side, and I'm wet from the rain. And I asked this old-timey photo of a man for directions to Fair Oaks Farms. And he says, I don't believe there's any way from here to there. And I take that with me, all the way into days like this, where my legs are other cities like Chicago in the summer, and I never really get where I'm going, so I let my legs know it's fine if they hate the hikes or wet thigh jeans and uneven sidewalks to an old red chapel I'm supposed to see in the daylight. And it's fine if they just need to sit down for a second, because not ever getting there takes a lot longer than you might think. 5, there's a swamp in me, an agitated sludge for sure. Banana first, unsalted almonds, a fistful of greens, chia seeds, pineapple chunks, coconut milk, and that Greek yogurt from Aldi. I have to time it so that I can start the blender before O's 9 a.m. nap. Lift one to my lips now and slug one for lunch before the content settles and gets as thick as I feel in the reflection of a passing window. Spinach green fades banana brown, swishing inside my backpack by 1 p.m. 5 days a week, 10 smoothies for 10 meals, 14 months in, 17 pounds down since leaving Monticello Ave to follow winding back roads to here. 45 seconds of knee repeaters, then Russian twists, then low impact burpees, repeat in a house with warped floorboards and walls that shake during Scotties or jumping jacks. I hold my chest high, but feel it all buckle when I enter a classroom and an 18-year-old student with a Ryan Lochte face and performance fleece sees my shape and assumes it's way. He pushes out, I know you aren't lifting, as if I needed my own student pointing to my body with his words first thing on a Tuesday. No matter how much better a baby blue button-down fits than it did a week ago, language can always shape itself into funhouse mirrors. 6, let's see if we get there. How many times have I asked friends of mine to visit, drive from Chicago through Indiana to me on unlit, narrow roads without thinking of what it's like for them? When I drive that drive, I get to turn up the radio at ease with the expanse where wind turbines stand in long rows and light in unison. 1 second, the flat horizon blinks red, then darkness. I've named that stretch Indiana Borealis. I've even pulled off I-65 on my way from Chicago and walked into a cornfield for the hell of it. I could disappear here. Did you know that not all whales have teeth? Jonah was lapped into an echoing stomach. Waves swallow fishermen all the time and go unnoticed. 7, would it be too much to call these stretch marks a map? Too much to connect the dots into the shape of yes, or conjure constellations? Too much? Too much to think of the sun, then Cancer, then Aries, then fire? Too much to ignore the mirror or befriend it? To pretend skin means something more than skin? Too much to know there's not too much of me? It's not too much to watch these rivers flood across my stomach and feel the earth is nothing without its oceans. I'm really excited for Adam and Siren. They also just celebrated their 1-year anniversary. So thank you, Tony. I'm going to turn it back over to you. Thanks.
Sully Sullivan, folks, another hand. Yeah, I was going to ask you when the next slam was. So 22nd, you said, September?
26th, Friday the 26th.
26th, okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. Next up, I want to welcome Siren Hand. Siren's bio has been tricky because as all of the bios have been, there's information that you find, and is this still pertinent? Is this still something that's part of your life? Is this past tense? Do I need to make this future tense? Or is this present tense? So I'm just going to read what I got. And you can correct me. That's old hat. That's old whatever. Siren Hand is currently,
graduated.
was, Graduated from IUPUI with the creative writing and
It's not even
sociology.
called IUPUI anymore.
Why no? Who is anyone? They have a master's in poetic and narrative therapy.
Undergrad.
Yeah.
Backspace.
Okay. Additionally, possibly, Siren develops community and interfaith discussion spaces through hallowed ground.
Still also.
Still doing great. Congratulations. And is also the Access and Disability Chair for Southern Fried Poetry.
Former.
Okay. But still capable.
Still capable.
They also managed to get Adam, I added this part, this is totally true. They also managed to get Adam to actually look under the hood of a typewriter. And the rest is history. Please welcome Siren Hand.
That's my baby.
My wife.
My wife.
Hello, Writers Guild. How are you? So, it's funny to think about my bio as being both updated and also not updated, because when we were originally talking with the show, all of those things were in process. So don't worry, you got it, and it'll be great. just needed to keep on working. And I really wanted to start off actually with maybe a bit of a love poem to Bloomington and the Writers Guild and Tony Brewer, because you'll hear a little bit more about it. But Siren Hand, was in the military before I decided to come to Indiana. It was 9.5 years, and I wanted to figure out a place for poetry. I was sneaking off post trying to get to poetry gigs anyway. That was probably my first indicator that I was going to be a writer and go to poetry. And so for Tony Brewer and for Danny Sullivan and for my friends here at the Writers Guild, that we've done poetry on demand together. That was the establishment of home for me. And it's more of a home than I've had my whole life as a military graduate. So I want to say thank you for having us here today, and kind of happy with that love letter poem. And I'm sorry, I have hearing aids. I want to check and make sure that everybody can hear me. I'm pretty clearly.
This air conditioner just kicked on, and it's kind of loud.
So here?
Better, yes.
Excellent. So this poem is called Speakeasy, and it's an homage to that poetry on demand and the typewriters, and if you haven't, you should join us for that. But Tony Brewer took us to write eulogies on demand instead of poetry on demand, so people wandered in. We got to give them eulogies based on our short little conversations. They were guests in the cemetery, so you're a kind soul, and what kind of a life do you lead? And some of them were like full of puns and laughter and everything, and some people, I think, stared into the face of God. I think they came to terms, or deity or relation of their choice, not even necessarily sacred, but secular facing, right? And so that was an impactful thing that gives us our setting for Speakeasy. If you go to Bloomington and remove the third brick from the left, on the fourth row of Rose Hill Cemetery's northeast wall, you'll hear the click, and the door to Tony's place will open. Follow the mausoleum steps down along the wall papered with poems and eulogies. It'll smell like the forest, maybe some smoked bourbon. The path will rattle with the clack of typewriters, cicada hum, and coffee shop bustle. You'll know it's right when you reach an iron door as tall as ambition. Knock 3 times. Long, short, short, long, short. Your password is the most beautiful and ridiculous word the dictionary has to offer. Everything is useful and broken here, in this place, full of absurdity and belonging. Foley junk surrounds the lifted stage, promises of a hell of a show. The live band starts in 5, so hurry up, poet, writer, take your seat. You'll see his battle room behind the bright lit bottles of the bar, maps with red string connected all of the gigs and crossroads he's traveled, every adventure and crosswind. The blue ones to wherever he's going next. Look for him in the cleaning closet where there are 100 monkeys on typewriters who will cuss you out for interrupting their fucking work. He won't be there, of course. He won't be there. In the end, and in Tony's place, there is nothing except for sound and energy and you. Thank you. So thank you for having us, because this is a home that is a little bit more intimate than up in Indianapolis, where we live now. And we have Indie Type Shop, the typewriter store, and all these beautiful things that have really come from a joint foundation. Adam will talk more about his experiences as well. But
What's the Indie Type Shop?
oh, the Indie Type Shop. I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
Dr. Henze. No, kidding. Indie Type Shop is the shop that we've put together specifically for writers and poets, and it came from poetry on demand, having an antique booth, learning typewriter sales and repair from people in the community, especially Tony Brewer, and writing from guild members, and especially friends like Sully, you know, and so this really is a place for thinkers. It's located in Garfield Park in Indianapolis. I've seen a couple of my friends here have already visited us. We have so many typewriters. Please take them. I mean, we can't say take them for free, of course, but what we do is we do the secondhand books and vintage, but we also have sales, service, and repair of typewriters. And it really came through. We have a stage and events and readings as well. We would love to have you as a guest or as a reader as well. So please consider coming through. Having that home now took a while to get to though. And so it started with online, or it started instead of brick and mortar, because it's just hard to jump into that, right? It started both with an antique booth, learning how to repair and everything during the pandemic. And then it also, for me, my writing really took off when I went back to college, because I took that scenic route through the Army. I was in for 9.5 years. I see, I've got friends. We'll commiserate later. And so, as I came, it was the tail end of 2019, I found this poetic home, and literally came to the last show at the Bloomington Poetry Slam before the whole world shut down for COVID. I got out of the Army 4 months earlier. I had freedom 4 months earlier. We were in lockdown, all of us, right? So I spent a lot of time bird watching. I suck at sourdough. So I spent my time bird watching and learning how to fix typewriters. But what really came from it was an understanding that I was coping with PTSD from the military, from aerial imagery, from conflicts that continue to pop up after decades. I didn't have articulations for it until poetry. Poetry's always been there as an articulation and as a vehicle. But this is how I figured out to articulate some of my experiences. It's called bird watching. Morning coffee as normal. I divide my front window into tic-tac-toe grid into this 9-section into telephone keypad. It's easier for me that way. To map how the birds come and go, free-form patterns of flight. Take this, a case. At 11:37 local time, one adult male sparrow darts from northwest field of view in keypad 1 to sundeck feeder in keypad 5, squabbles with 2 already present adult male sparrows overseas. They peck at each other for greeting, establish their status, take freely from what's allowed. Also, 11:37 local time. 4 adult female finches, 7 adult male sparrows, 3 adult male starlings all dig at the ground at keypad 8. Scramble for the yield of another's destruction. Seed spills from the feeder, keypad 5 to keypad 8. At 11:39 local, 2 adult cardinals fly from the east field of view. Mill at the woodpecker feeder at keypad 6. At 11:39 local, 2 adult chipping finches hop along the path from north field of view, upset that whole roll up in keypad 8 at the base of the feeder. At 11:39 Lima, 1 military-aged man. No, I'm sorry. Correction. 1 adult male cowbird glides from southeast field of view to the ground food at keypad 8. At 11:39, 1 male sparrow departs from keypad 5 to keypad 3 out of northeast field of view. Nothing significant to report. 11:42, nothing significant to report. 11:43, my dog blitzes, tumbles in froth-mouthed, uninvited explosion, deepish joy at sunlight's scattered colors. No soul left in the aftershock of birds. Stillness. How long does one watch after the upset? Wait for destruction reset, for no trace, for next pattern, for life to return to normal. If I watch, wait, perhaps, I'll see bridegroom, slim cardinal, not yet witness to how his body will shimmer, will scatter in the sun, will form both fountain and firework. I divide my front window into a tic-tac-toe grid, into 9 sections, into foam keypad. It's easier for me that way to sit, still, watching, wondering, are they going to come back? Thank you. So I realized that talking about war without a lot of context is a huge risk. And I would like to say that it is an act of service to join. For me, the patriotism was in trying to prevent collateral damage, specifically. Initially, I wanted to go and be a chaplain's assistant. I'm a pagan, and there are pagans in the military, but there aren't very many chaplains who could give them resources. As I was taking the typing test, somebody swiped that slot right from under me. So the recruiter asked me what I wanted to do. And I said, I don't know, what else you got? And he said, well, do you want to be a fueler? Do you want to fuel up our tanks and our vehicles? And I said, no, I don't want to get shot at with a whole bunch of, I don't want to do that. He's like, do you want to be a cook? And I'm like, nobody wants my cooking. But for me, I had a background in political activism. Started before I was an adult. I was on NATO bases as an Army brat. And my older brother joined the Iraq War. I had a lot of criticisms, specifically against collateral damage. I'd heard about innocence, and I'd heard about mosques and religious sites getting blown up, whether it was negligence or intentional. I didn't have a lot of information. And so through my time in the military, I tried to gauge what's my frame of reference, what are my biases, could I be right, could I be wrong? And those form a really complicated involvement with the military. So PTSD, poetry has been a vehicle to figure that out and to build community around it and to find other military or pagan or spiritual people who are just trying to make sense of this existence. And I was really lucky. This is actually, I graduated as Tony and I both built bios together. Graduated just this past semester from IU Indianapolis for creative writing and medical technology. And while the main goal was to go towards practicing poetic and narrative therapy, that is a long-term goal. So all of this builds towards it. And specifically, Genesis was the literary editing and publishing group that's up at IU Indianapolis, used to be IUPUI. And this was what got me started on the road. And I wanted to give this as a thank you to the foundations you guys set for me here. Because it was going to be IU, right? Like, it was going to have to be IU, I think, in this house. But I got to know Indianapolis and Indiana and Bloomington through protests, specifically. I took my time from the military and then tried to use skills to keep people safe. Safety brief. One wrong move, the curb becomes my headstone. I sat in American History X and didn't know that cruelty could happen in real life until the news showed it. The cop pushed the old man backwards, his head cracked back against the brick. The blood poured from his ear and pooled baptismal, a halo around the whole puddle. Beware, be aware. This time, stay on the sidewalks. The woman driving the van in Monument Circle said she feared for her life when she stepped on the gas. He punched out her back window, sliced his arm on the shards as she swerved past him. When you think the march is over, leave immediately. In Bloomington, another woman tore through us after driving 2 hours, fuming from the protest endorsement and announcement in papers. Neither of them used their horns. Do not drink water offered to you by someone you don't know. The video showed how people can poison it all without breaking the Tanner seal. Do not march through the streets here this time. Do not block oncoming traffic with your vehicles. They will press charges when you draw on their revving engines. Link arms like in Brazil. Protest the organizers. Don't be shaken by the 4th of July fireworks outside the ICE facility. Double barrel pressed into the protester chest, waiting for the first flinch. Make sure protesters with wheelchairs and walkers are not being harassed or targeted. The march pace reaches a fever pitch and the bullhorn, chanting, pulls away way faster than 2.5 miles an hour. Tear to the highway, tear back through Nazi salute line sidewalks. Watch for their horses, switch the route up to confront them head on, otherwise they will kill. The tear gas is expired, could concentrate here. Explode like a gender reveal bomb. Congrats, it's expired. It's inhumane. All wildfires starting with an inspired spark. The old man's skull is cradled firmly by the cracks of the sidewalk. Concrete angel cooing. Because of this, perhaps this year things might change. Thank you. I do have to give some love and kind of lift it up a little bit because I don't just write about PTSD. I'm currently in the process of writing about military experience through a hybrid manuscript. So I really appreciate your patience as we kind of work through that because I realize it's a heavier topic, especially given our current political climate. I am heartened by hearing veterans speak their experiences and the nuanced experiences too. So at Indie Type Shop, we've got a military section and we got ammo crates, you know, and we put not just the meathead stories, no offense to the meatheads, right? I love you guys. I love all you meatheads. No, but not just the meathead military stories or not just the combat arms frontline stories, but there are things, not just warriors that determine the outcourse of the war, but that also includes acts of witness. That includes people who are adjacent to the war but still have that collateral damage and still have that effect. So that's what the hybrid manuscript is working through. Thank you for your patience and kind of feeling through that with me. I really appreciate you. I'm gonna lift it up just a little bit. I've got a couple more poems for you, and then I'll hand it over to Tony and the good doctor. So this is specifically, I knew I was doing a show with Sully, and I had to, like, how do you explain slam culture to people who've never been to a poetry slam? because it is sometimes like raise of hands, who's been to Bloomington Poetry Slam? Awesome. Who's been to Rocky Horror Picture Show? Kind of related, right?
Yeah.
Like poets, right? Because it's all an environment of feedback. You all are a very lovely, polite crowd, and very polite. I'm used to Tampa poets that will razz you off the mic and everything, or they'll call back, or they'll hear you say a line. I'm not saying that by way of complaint. I'm saying that to contextualize this love letter, because I had to write a poem to figure out how to express what slam poetry was as a slam poem. I'm not going to do it the speed of a slam poem, because that's a little too aggressive for me right now, even for me, a former drill sergeant. So this is As the Microphone. Your hands clammed up, lips dry as coal smoke, heart pounding locomotive nerved inertia. It took you 3 weeks of built courage to approach me, and I still can't figure out why. I'm a microphone. I mean, 90% of the time I just stand here waiting for you to speak before I project. I know you are afraid others may overhear your stoking the flames of fire within you, unbridled and burning to burn down barriers, that you've got words winding on a one-track mind, whistles blowing, desperately pounding day-to-day life to get out. So, let's make a deal. You tell them to respect me. Do not speak over me, and I'll give you 3 minutes till you hop off at the next bus stop and the next train stop, poet, to convince me your words are worth more than tonight's $5 ticket to freedom. Go all in instead of 1 foot on the platform, the other on the train. To show me your spotlight and ditch lights are more than just a headlight to someone else's thoughts. To show me ink flows railroads in your veins. Show me the poetry reaches its mouth in your hands, and that you'll make it run its route. You approach me with your stomached butterflies, your affecting words cocooning within your mouth towards some metamorphosis. You'll find after you use me. Words flying through and beyond me, landing where they've been needed most. Flowery language aside, I've heard too many poets in my time. You'll have to try harder than that. You have 3 minutes to approach me with your honesty, to stitch your million moments into love letters to the world, a manifesto of some frustrated existence, some call to action, some honesty too big for Atlas to manifest and carry on his shoulders. Besides, you know it. I can sniff out strongmen posers a mile away, thinking they're so clever when they're so protected by persona, by half-truths, by their hiding behind me. I've fallen in love with people like that. Before, it ended badly. She kept her soul halfway in the sun and thought that she could still blossom fully. His lips half told hope and said, "You get the picture." What picture? Stopping short of full measures, people who want to rob banks and ride Bonnie and Clyde into the sunset, but settle for being the bankers they robbed. People who want to ride in with their posse, hop the trains at dusk, roll through boxcar after boxcar, thieving whatever jewels they can take for their own. Every good old-fashioned train robbery has a race against time. You have 3 minutes. I'll even be nice. I'll give you 10 seconds more, starting. We talked a little bit about spirituality and religion as far as my portion in the Army and stuff. Tony, you mentioned Interfaith Holograms, which is a discussion group that now is, because a couple of our members moved away from our initial stuff, which was online during online Indianapolis-focused interfaith dialogue, including all and no spirituality. And it was specifically taking poetry and having a dialogue about what this means to different and among different communities. And so it was started probably fall time. It was too dang hot during summer, during the pandemic. But we started in the fall, and what came of it from that project was understanding voice a little bit more, and then also collaboration. This, my last poem for tonight, is part of the work that came from that. This also is one of my buddies, Manish, who was officiant at our wedding. Manish was my minister when I was a music director before the time in the Army. And so there was an incubator that was talking about diverse religious leadership amongst Unitarian Universalists, and they asked me to find a poem that would send off the rest of the publication, so I'd like to do that for you. Thank you so much for having us tonight, and I really appreciate it. When I approach, with palms moon-greased for this phase, face full and bright with honesty, will it be enough? We wax and wane, the tide always comes back in. A star, even done, shines to guide those light years away. Who's to say I hold nothing, even now? There's so much spirit in this space, these cupped hands and open heart. There are so many ways for me to pray, to say I am because we were and are and have been, to orbit our purpose. We celestial bodies, ever Triskelion and expanding fractal, dance along the axis. This is the nutshell nebula we can hold tender. In the hands we hope hold justice. Thank you very much, Bloomington.
So another hand for Siren Hand, folks. Another hand for Siren Hand. Thank you so much. And I always appreciate when people write poems about me and then read poems about me. That came, well, that's a long story, but it came from a book of poems that somebody gave me for my birthday. It was all, he surreptitiously got a bunch of friends who are all poets to make poems for me about me, and then put it in a book and gave it to me for my birthday. It was pretty sweet. That's one of my favorites in there, so thank you for that. Here's a bunch of fake news about Adam Henze that you can probably correct once you get up here.
We'll see.
Actually, this is all definitely true, but it's, there's probably newer things.
At a moment in time, right?
At a moment in time, Dr. Adam Henze, doctor's in there, so
That's not changed yet.
that's true. We can tick them off. Researcher,
Yeah,
educator,
sure.
spoken word artist,
Yeah,
shared his poetry in over 30 states,
yes,
as well as Puerto Rico, Canada,
yes,
England, Ireland,
yes.
and the United Arab Emirates.
I had
Is
to
that-
cancel that.
That had to be online though. wasn't
No,
it?
yes, I did actually do. I
Okay.
performed in Abu Dhabi
Okay.
through Zoom because
Abu
a
Dhabi?
pandemic happened.
Yeah.
Some really remarkable things were happening to my career, and I had to cancel to
Yes.
a European tour and a tour in the Middle East. But hey, now I'm here in Bloomington.
Founding director of Power of a Sentence.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what was that?
Founding director of Power of a Sentence.
Yeah, that's still going.
Prison literacy program.
I'm in my 11th year of this prison literacy program. Yeah.
That's good. Official poet of the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah, that's
Is that
true.
right? That's
Yeah.
true. Okay.
And I am no way affiliated with the Speedway Slammer. I want to make that clear. It's like,
It sounds like a position or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, along with Siren, he runs the Indie Type Shop, a lit space for rad people.
That's right.
I like that. I like that tag. By
Thank
the way.
you.
A lit space for rad people, offering typewriters, rare books, vintage cameras, inkwells, ephemera, and other literary keepsakes. And I think I've made more poems with Adam than anyone else.
ooh,
Although
that's,
Hiromi is catching up.
that's an honor.
Yeah. Please welcome Dr. Adam Henze.
Yeah, I mean, if you hate my poetry, I brought Siren to Indiana. Like that's the, you know. So.
Yes!
So Tony gave me a nice gift. He gave me this Maya Angelou book. So actually, I'm gonna abandon my feature and read the inaugural poetry of Bill Clinton. Here we go.
Wow.
I want to say thank you to Tony, thank you to the Writers Guild for bringing me here. I have a dog named Nico, and he gets so excited to see my wife and I when we come home, and then he runs outside, and I didn't get that till like I came here, and I see like so many people that I love and care about, and I was just like, I gotta go outside, this is so annoying. I'm currently in a monodrama class, and I'm hoping to get some of these poems into a show for Fringe next year. So cross your fingers for me. You know, this might be on the stage, but I want to preface that by saying my work is with young people who have committed violent crime, and so I have been writing about that. And in this class, they're like, you got to dig up all your old poems about violent crime. So hey, it's cool that I have this feature, but I'm going to be talking about violent crime. So that is your kind of preface of a general kind of content warning for what we're going through. But I'm going to start with this poem up there. This is from my dissertation. Some people ask me, you know, why I teach poetry in a prison and not like resume writing or like, you know, philosophy or, you know, something that can like help someone get a job. And this poem is my response. It's called The Circle. Tonight, Hella reads a poem to the son she's accused of killing. And Amora says she wishes she could become that brave. I say, let's start with where this poem is successful. Not to overshare, Emma says, but that's the type of writing to make your butthole pucker. Yuriko disagrees with Audre Lorde. She says poetry has to be a luxury when you only get to sip it once a week with your commissary Pepsi. Once 2 students were kicked out of the course for humping each other on a stolen tarp in the chapel staircase. COs comb through every poem wondering where they learned that at. Each class, I shake every hand because maybe I sound like the last man that reprimanded them. Not to try to sound scary, I wince, but Mrs. C says she'll shut us down if you're in the hall without a pass. Raven escaped from prison once, and she says she doesn't have any stories interesting enough to share. In the circle, sometimes you start crying when you stumble over a line. I made you a painting, Electra says, pointing at the hues at the window. She shakes her head at the power lines like, why, oh why, oh why? Something man-made, gotta fuck with my sky. So we've been trying to do this like trio feature for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then like I went to Cuba last year and I'm the one that messed it up. And then we were supposed to do it earlier this year, and then I think I got my fellowship, and so I messed it up again. So like I am that like bougie lead singer who's of your favorite band who's been like holding up getting back together. So I feel so blessed to be here. I also want to say to Sully, I love that you wrote this like beautiful whole book that's like an audit of your body and like learning to love your body, and then you got really fucking physically fit like the year after you wrote that book. I don't know if you thought about that, but I've been thinking about that. I love it, but I'm so glad we get to perform with you. All right, this poem's called Hostage Scenarios. And this is true. When you train to teach in a maximum security prison, you are invited to concoct hostage scenarios. Imagine a dictionary stripped of its spine. Imagine that spine sharpened to a shiv. Imagine that shiv pressed against your ribs. Manifest a massive standoff in your mind of shouting and sirens and you pleading just to live. The key is to make a picture that exhausts all the possibilities, that a pencil can be broken and poking against your throat, that a book can be repurposed to bludgeon against your skull, that you may be kidnapped and made to swap spaces and clothes so the SWAT thinks you are your students. Something to shoot. This is why you start every class asking them to tell you who they are. I'm the mirror of my mother. I'm a reflection of my crime. I never thought myself a student, but I'm running out of time. I am here to learn, to make weapons with my words. And you say, maybe this pen doesn't need to be a weapon. Maybe this pen is the taste of greasy cheeseburger juice dripping down your chin. This pen is a blown kiss captured by your daughter's chubby hand. This pen is a crooning jukebox and a pair of hands placed on your hips. This pen is not a weapon. This pen is a violin. Now the paper is a concert space. There's an instrument in your hand. Imagine all the possibilities and play every note you can. This pen is where we're going. It doesn't have to be where we've been. This pen is not a weapon. This pen is just a pen. So I'm gonna get back to my old shit. Old shit. I'm gonna switch my setup a little bit because my friend Jeff walked in the door and I haven't seen him in a long time. And I didn't know if did you know I have a poem in my book from your writing workshop? Did you know?
No.
All right, so we're gonna do it. So if you guys have not heard Jeff's writing, he's very good. I've not heard your writing in a long time. But I was very lucky to attend a workshop that he was hosting over on the East Coast. And this was at a speech camp for
Speech
young
camp.
people. Yes, you said what?
I said speech.
Speech camp, yeah, speech camp for young people. But then I was a counselor there and I got to sit in and I got to be a student for a day. That was nice. So Jeff's writing assignment, I'm sure I'm gonna explain it badly. He wanted us to make lists. So the one he came up with is cartoon dogs. So we made lists of cartoon dogs and then we had to circle our favorite dog. You don't remember this?
No.
Workshop at all?
I know the general learning.
This was like 13 or 14 years ago, so it was a minute ago. So we did cars and then we did dogs. And then the one that I don't remember if we sourced it to the children to come up with this, but the one you came up with was other people's moms.
Oh, that was, yeah. I didn't come up with that one.
You didn't come up with that one? Okay. But I learned it from you, so I'm still giving you the props. So that day I had just read an obituary of a classmate. And I was thinking about her mother that I knew, that was friends with my mother, and I was thinking about her becoming a mother, and I was thinking about the violence that sometimes exists in the lives of our friends from hometowns. Some of us got out of hometowns, and others did not escape this violence. So this poem is called Resulting from a Writing Prompt About Other People's Moms. And this is a story about my brother's first girlfriend. She was kind of like a goody two-shoes kid, and then her mother passed away, and she just took a turn. We lost touch with her after a while, and the obituary informed me hundreds of miles away, about to walk into Jeff's workshop, that she was in an argument outside of her work in the parking lot of the Lone Star Steakhouse with her daughter in her arms, argued with her husband, and her husband stabbed her while her daughter was in her arms. So this poem starts with the epigraph. There is some debate as to what the child will actually be able to recall as she gets older. Our hope is she won't be able to remember vividly what happened. And that's from Sergeant Jason Cullen from the Evansville Police Department. Student desk says, list as many as you can. I list 11 names before I write your mother's. My wrist stops flicking. Pen halts. Eyes lifting. The assignment is to write every image you remember. Hadn't heard a word of you until the morning's headline. Knew you turned a tide when your mama died, but thought most of the rumors were just eggnog talking. We called you Spaz in school. You were awkward armed and scared of dust balls. I remember your faded photo of a home. One time you put an old sock in your hair and wrapped rubber bands around the bun. Your mother came home worn from work. a matted cattail standing along the pond. You helped my brother learn how fingers can fold together. You said kids with special needs have nothing wrong with them. They're just sad. Katie, I'm so sorry that man stabbed your heart, plunged cold metal into your chest, stole your breath, that you had to run coughing froth into the road, your work apron a ripening plum. What images your daughter remember? How blood stuck to her eyelashes. She tried to look away. What makes this up? You know, I'm sorry that we came to be downers at your lovely poetry show. Here is a haiku for you. Junk food addiction. I tried a 12-step program, but fat kids hate steps. All right, I'm gonna do another old poem. This is a poem that I retired a long time ago, probably about 10 years ago. So like, if you please forgive my references to like Carlos Mencia and the Black Eyed Peas. This is an old poem, yes. But this is a poem I wrote when I was younger, and I was so frustrated that liberals and progressives were like so, checking in about people's speech, about, don't say this ethnic slur, don't say this thing, but then we just let the R word rip like with impunity, and then we like learn from that, and then like, has anyone else noticed the R word's back? It's like back in full force, right? Yeah, I blame Fergie still. All right, so.
Yes.
So, this is a poem about my uncle. So, yeah. Danny never thought that words meant much. So when he was 10, some schoolyard toughs beat scars into his skin. 3 men pinned his face to the pavement, told him to kiss asphalt, all while bending back his arms and calling him a retard. But because he did not know the meaning of the word plead, those men made my uncle bleed. Now to me, words of the world. But in the restaurant kitchen I work in, they're hurled around like dirty knives in a dish pit. Today, my buddy Juicy got really stoned before changing his work clothes. Said he smoked so much he developed Down syndrome. And at table 11, Devin swiped the wrong person's credit card, said to herself out loud, "Way to go, retard," on the same day. Sarah dropped a drink tray, said it made her feel like a dirter. And these words come to my friends as easy as breath, which is one thing I don't get, because before I don't call Sarah that word that rhymes with which, she'd flip like a switch. She'd leave me licking her lips like at the thought of digging my ditch, or do something really bad and let blab the word. But Juicy would be tying my toe tag, and an ethnic slur is even worse. One block crack about Devin in verse, and she'd slap my ass in the back of a hearse. The 3 would have duct tape stretched with my lips pursed, pleading, "Please, don't kill me for this social faux pas." But still, some of my friends rub my drums raw with Carlos Mencia quotes every time they get rum drunk or do something dumb. And yeah, I know they don't know where I'm coming from. They probably never had an Uncle Danny in their family, and not their fault that Let's Get Retarded won a Grammy, so I don't get too pissed at their Kroger's gestures. But out of respect, I gotta interject to tell them about my family. Born beneath mustard gas, which led the path to partial paralysis, polio, and my uncle, who taught me to feel with smiles and squeals, spending life as these high-speed racing Hot Wheels, and as a kid, I thought the doctor said he was artistic because he spoke in brushstrokes. Danny, the first non-military man in my family, because he never learned how to make a fist. But his croak wrist could clutch a plastic harmonica and harmonize artistic arpeggios to the tune of honeydew dripping, his hair floating like a flock of feathers, slapping his limp hands together and grinning. His world was the twirl of a clown-covered top spinning, and though the doctors declared that his mind was out there, I swear he was listening. His chin drizzled with drool like dew glistening, and yeah, the kids thought he looked silly, but to me, he was a breathing deity down to the marrow, with bent ears and a skull sloped like a pharaoh, a man not to be scoffed at. But in a restaurant kitchen, Shriner hats and art plaques don't mean shit. So sometimes I let an insult slip, when my convictions don't stick as much as the pricks in my lungs and the blood in my tongue won't let me speak. And weak kneed I stand aside while words are turned into dirty knives, the same jagged adjectives and slashing nouns that left my uncle dry heaving and bleeding on the ground. So now it's me pleading. I'm on my knees, kissing the same concrete where Danny scraped his teeth. My family's legacy will not be a trapped jack-in-the-box struggling to breathe. B-Town helped me speak for the turned cheek, for the kazoo crooners and top watchers, while wheelchair rockers and foot stompers help me be that fist for that bed-railed wrist. A poem spoken by the voiceless, for the coated tongue is thick because it's never been stripped by the acid spit of fork-tongued figures of speech. Danny, rest in peace. I've got to quit this hypocrite shit and practice what I preach. Thanks.
Yeah.
I used to be way less scared of rhyme. All right. I'm so scary these days. All right, I think I got time for one more, maybe. One more. All right, I'm gonna leave you with a good mood. Come see my show at Indie Fringe next year, and then we can talk about crime and be sad. Yay! I'm gonna leave you with an uplifting one. I was very lucky. I don't have any odes to you right now, Bloomington or IU. You guys are in trouble. You guys are in timeout. But I did get this awesome opportunity to write a creative dissertation. So the first two pieces were for my dissertation. This is also a piece from my dissertation. I got to do some work with some littles in Kentucky. Not allowed to tell you where, but it was really near the capital of the state. And it's crazy that and this is true about most capitals, you've got so much power and then powerlessness just surrounding us. So yeah, this is a poem about a little community center that I think they're shut down now. So, but this is my experience there. This is called Eagles. A dozen kids thump their way up the staircase and find their seats in a folding chair. I pass out journals and pens at each table, donated by a woman with the business in the same neighborhood as the community center. Some of the kids in the room are teenagers, some are just 10 years old. But when I facilitate a workshop for people of varying age and experience, I often find myself returning to the fundamentals. These are approachable assignments that task participants to pick up an easily employable task. Traditional schooling can frame poetry as a cryptic, irrelevant practice, but with little accessibility in mind, anyone can write a poem. This is why I was determined to encourage everyone in the room to fill the first page of their journal on the first meeting of our weekly after-school program. After performing a poem for my new friends, I asked them to write a shout-out poem. Well, you guys know what a shout-out is, right? I asked. It's like when a rapper gives props to a friend on a track, or like when an actor thanks their agent in a speech, or if a football player thanks a higher papper on camera after a touchdown. Now, a shout-out is formally known as an ode, or a formal, often ceremonious lyric poem that addresses and often celebrates a person, place, thing, or idea. But I don't really care if they know the official term. I care that they're able to recognize poetry as a relevant thing in their world. Now, the students start writing shout-outs to all the people in their lives. One poet writes a shout-out to the grandmother that raised him and his little sister. One poet writes a shout-out to the boy in her class that she's still scared to talk to. One kid writes a shout-out to their bully, an imagined conversation where all the power levels are leveled. Everyone is writing except one older student sitting in the corner. Her posture is slumped, closed off, and a volunteer at the center sits next to her. I see her page is blank, so I crouch down next to her and ask her what's wrong. Nervous, she says. Nervous? You're nervous? Nervous, she says. And she nods, clutching her necklace with her hand. Poem, she says. You're nervous to write a poem? Poem, she says. I notice that the emblem on her necklace is in the shape of an eagle, and she tugs on it as she squinches her lips together. I write a word vertically across her blank sheet of paper. E. A. G. L. E. I don't know why she had an eagle necklace, but it seems important to her. Something to clutch onto when she's a little bit scared. So I ask her, hey, can you think of a word that describes yourself using each letter, I point to the letter A. Like this letter could stand for awesome, because even though I don't know you yet, I can tell that you are awesome. Can you think of some more words that describes how awesome you are? The girl smiles, and the aide sitting next to me nods at me, and I turn to check on the rest of the class. One kid tells me he can't spell, and I tell him not to worry about that so much. When I return to where the girl is sitting, her page is filled with a poem, all written in wavy letters. Excited. Awesome. God. Love. Empowerment. Some of the letters are squeezed between others where perhaps a very helpful aide reminded her where they're supposed to go. The girl sits with a smile on her face like she just got an invitation to a party in the mail. Though her poem is only 5 words, it tells me an immense story about her. I met her as the quiet kid in the corner, but now I know better. She is an awesome, excited follower of God who has love to share and possesses the tools to own empowerment. Anyone can write a poem. Thanks, y'all.
Dr. Adam Henze, folks, another hand for Henze. And another round of applause for all 3 of our trio of fantastic features. Sully, Sullivan, Siren Hand, Dr. Adam Henze. Thank you all so much for joining us. We are going to take a little break. We're going to take about 5 or 10 or 15. We'll take about 10, 15 minutes or so. Take a little break. We'll come back. We'll do our mighty list. The open mic, look at that, it's a tremendous list. If you're not on here, and probably like 1, 2, 3, yeah, you're probably all on here. So, but if you'd like to, we'll make room for you. Also, if you're interested, here's the little. I'm going to put this out by the food. Be sure and have some snacks. Load up. Come back in 10 minutes or so. We'll do our open mic. Thank you so much. So here we go with the open mic. First up, Terry Sloan.
Yeah, immediately, right off. I usually write when I have to. I've been trying to force myself to write every day. So here we go. 6 poems in under 3 minutes, or double your money back. Mortal imperative. Write. Write what you can. Write what you want. Write what you don't. Write what you must. Live to write. Write. Write when you can. Write when you want. Write when you don't. Write when you must. Write to live. Write. Write while you can. Write while you want. Write while you don't. Write while you must. Write or die. Mortal imperative, redo. Lose the loss of the world. Place it firmly in the past. Barely time to look ahead. Fix your gaze just short of dead. The path to joy surrounds you. Mortal imperative 3. The time for heedless joy has come and gone. Move softly now through the world. Avoid the impact, as now even the caress of the material leaves a mark. That's what happens. Life near the edge. The winds of change blow through unbridled chance. The winds of chance unleash loose change. Take a random chance and risk a risky coin flip. Your outlook will be the better for it. This is a poem about life, how to approach life or death. Straightforward. I walk a crooked path. From now to then. Along the way, I pass from here to there. Not exactly sure where I've been. Less about where I'm going. This is bike ride in 2 parts. Descent. Slicing from here to there. No resistance.
beyond the air, such ease of motion, hardly fair. In the moment I don't care, follow me if you dare. Ascent, the world turns beneath the wheel, upward motion impossible to feel. Grinding up the grind focuses the relentless mind. The mystery beyond the top ensures I'll never.
Awesome, thanks Terry. John Krutschke.
Thank you. Yeah, this last Sunday, 31st, I'll be reading some poems as one of the speakers at the last Sunday Poetry. I haven't been at open mic in this venue before, and I've gotten the vibe that this is more for sometimes music. So what I did is going way outside my comfort zone, and I wrote a song a few months ago. I'm not a singer or a guitarist, so you have to imagine. I'm really going to exercise your imagination. You have to imagine a good singer and guitarist. If you are that person, you can get the sheet music and the lyrics here. So I'll leave this visible. And I'd love a real person to perform this. This is called Love is an Illusion. Swiping left and swiping right, this swiping going on all night. So many fishes in the sea. If I hook one, would they hook me? Meet some for tea, meet some for more. Some start out fun, all end a chore. They all seem different starting the game, but in the end, they're all the same. Oh, in the end, they're all the same. Love is the illusion that not everyone's the same. That God made someone special just for me. Love is a presumption they're not just fish in the sea. And I wish someone were fishing just for me. Oh, and I wish someone were fishing just for me. Mailbox full of help me please, compel my human empathies. Some are sick and some are poor, and some are victims of another war. But I can't give to everyone, 'cause I'd be left with less than none. So must I choose who's less to blame, 'cause in the end, they're not the same. Oh, in the end, they're not the same. Love is the illusion that near everyone's the same, and equally deserving charity. Love is the presumption we are all children of God. I just wish he loved his children equally. I just wish he loved his children equally. If everyone's deserving across all humanity, then how can I pick only one for lifelong loyalty? If there's a perfect someone who is better than the rest, then why should random people say it's better to divest? Love is the illusion that not everyone's the same, that God made someone special just for me. Love is the presumption they're not just fish in the sea, and I wish someone were fishing just for me. Love is the illusion that near everyone's the same, and equally deserving charity. Love is the presumption we are all children of God. I just wish he loved his children equally. I just wish God loved this child specially. Thank you.
Thanks, John. James Dorr.
Oh, can you hear me okay? This is a short story for the coming fall. It actually has been published in something called Gothic Blue Book 4, the folklore edition, in 2014. And it's called School Nights. Some people swore that the house was haunted. She didn't know why. Grown-ups were strange sometimes in the things they said, like how the earth was supposed to be round. But how come people on the other side didn't fall off then? or how there were oceans so big you couldn't see across them. When she was older, she learned the earth was round. Oceans were big too, but still they claimed the house was haunted and she didn't know how. She had studied once to be a witch, or at least she thought she had. She read a book she had found in the library. She wasn't a witch though, she knew that afterward. She went to the house to determine finally whether the house was haunted or not. It was spooky and old, that was certainly true, and had been deserted for many years, but search as she would, she could find no ghosts. There were bodies of old people, homeless men mostly, beneath the window of one of the ground floor rooms. Some were dried out with no blood left in them, but a few were fresher. There were rats and spiders too, and these were special ones. These ones talked to her. "What is your name?" one said. "Marcy," she answered. The spider who asked her looked ancient and crusty. "Do you like blood?" an odd-winged rat asked. Marcy shrugged. She never tried blood, but some of the newer, plumper corpses looked juicy like ripe fruit. When she thought that, her teeth started to itch, the sharp pointed ones near the front of her mouth on either side of the flat chiseled front ones. Nothing was ever the same after that.
Thanks, James. Claudette.
I'm not a poet.
Yes, you are.
I write vignettes, so
Still counts.
this is titled Rudy's Treasure. Rudy was my first husband, he was German. Rudy was a wine connoisseur. He made wine and he loved to drink wine. We always had a cellar full of wine from different vineyards we'd visited in Germany, Italy, France, and Austria, to name a few. We even had wine from South Africa that we bought on a cruise around the west coast of Africa. There was never a shortage of wine in our house. Rudy was also a gourmet cook. He was a hobby cook, not professionally trained. He took it very seriously and practiced his craft every day. He would consult with local chefs on ingredients and cooking methods. His desire to learn was impressive. I was the beneficiary of his skill. He baked bread and grilled lamb chops. He chopped the best ingredients, was well known at the city's farmer market. Whenever I did the shopping for him, the vendors would pull out goodies from under the counters of their stalls. Somehow Rudy had gotten the impression that the good stuff was kept back for special customers. The owners of the stands personally waited on Herr Anheuser. The stands were also a good place to get recipes. Customers would stand waiting to make their purchases while the owner talked food with Rudy. I always waited my turn. Rudy was invited to join the Cooks Club at the Nahe Valley. He was the only member who was not a professional cook. We knew all the chefs in beautiful Bad Kreuznach, and we ate at all of their restaurants. The only day that all the chefs took off was Monday. We would often join them for special meals at one of the few restaurants in town that opened. There would often be special food that was only available fresh at a certain time of year. Asparagus could fill a whole menu from soup to salad to main course. I liked mine with new potatoes and hollandaise sauce. In the fall, there was wild pig with the traditional side dishes of liver potatoes and wild field salad. After the grape harvest, there would be new wine, which was still fermenting in the glass. It was called Federweiser, or white feather. It was very powerful stuff. We always ordered Zwiebelkuchen, which was an onion tart that tasted exactly right with the Federweiser. One of the chefs was a hunter. At the beginning of winter, he would always have a venison dinner at the clubhouse in the woods. They made these wonderful dumplings, red cabbage and berry sauce to go with it. The chefs really knew how to enjoy good food and wine. I bought my house in beautiful Bad Kreuznach in 2006. I had to consolidate all the furniture and belongings from two households into one house. My apartment in Heidelberg was easier as I had only been living there since 2001. Rudy had lived in our apartment in Bad Kreuznach since his first marriage in 1953. The furniture was huge, old, and very complicated to move. The gigantic Frankfurter was a 250-year-old armoire that had to be professionally disassembled and then reassembled by a professional. It was really gnarly. When moving day arrived, Rudy was in the hospital with heart issues. It seemed to me that whenever there was something very stressful to do, his heart would act up. I didn't blame him because it was easier to have him out of the way during the move. Our apartment in Bad Kreuznach was not too bad, but the 3 cellar rooms I had to clear were daunting. There were ancient boxes of paper and other memorabilia that had to be sorted in one cellar, garden tools and oil tanks in another, and the most crowded one where the washer and dryer were. That was also the cellar where the wine was kept. I started with the first room. My grandsons and my adopted sister Elka's 2 kids had been coerced into helping by the offer of substantial sums of money. When I picked up the first box of memorabilia, it disintegrated in my hands. Wads of rotting paper gushed onto the floor. I had to make a new plan to deal with the reality of this new challenge. We shoveled up the mess and carried it out to the paper trash can. It was full in no time, and there were still lots of boxes left. Rudy's cousin Peter came up with the bright idea of using the large grape harvesting boxes to carry the paper to the recycling dump. When we had finished and dumped all the boxes, we were covered in dust and basement dirt. The oil tank cellar was the easiest to empty. We sorted out the tools into what we wanted to keep and what we wanted to get rid of. One of the tools we found was what the Germans call a boner. Once I stopped laughing, I explained to the kids what a boner was in English. They all filed the word away in their teenage brains to be used at the next opportunity with their friends. The boner was used to polish wood floors. Since we had no new floors at the new apartment or the new house, we went into the trash pile. No one we knew needed one. It was finally time to tackle the wine cellar. The cellar was full of cases and crates of wine. It would take years to drink it all. Unfortunately, it wasn't organized very well. Most of it was in a big pile in the center of the room. The old kitchen cabinets we had from our old kitchen were all around the walls of the room. There were wine cases and cupboards. It seemed like the more expensive wines were found in the cabinets. There were wonderful French Bordeaux wines, Italian Chiantis, and many cases of French champagne. One tall, narrow cabinet was open. I thought that what was inside must be the creme de la creme. I went up to Rudy's dresser and finally found the key stored inside the little box where he kept his cufflinks and dress watch. I went back to the cellar, thrumming in anticipation of what I would find in the locked cabinet. Kids gathered around to see what was in it. When I opened the door, I found jars in all sizes. They were filled with homemade jelly and jam that Rudy had made. I laughed and still my stomach hurt. Wine that easily cost 100 euros a bottle was left in the pile while the quince jelly and raspberry jam were locked away. They were all carefully labeled with the flavor, the date he made it, where he had gotten the fruit. I always knew that he was proud of his jams and jellies, and this was clear proof of how much he valued them. The rest of the move was as awful as moving always is. Everything made it safely across the street to our new house. I had stacks of boxes lining all the walls. The kitchen stuff alone took over 30 boxes. In all, I found 5 rice cookers, 2 sizes for my Heidelberg apartment and 3 from Rudy's kitchen. There were so many unusual utensils that I had no idea what they were used for. There were 8 different kinds of vinegar. I still have boxes full of kitchen items out in my garage in beautiful Bloomington. One of these days, I will find the strength to unpack them. The memory of Rudy is so strong that even the most ordinary wooden spoon takes on a special significance.
Thanks, Claudette. Next up, Renee.
First time.
Yay!
I wasn't sure. I didn't know if you had to memorize it, so I memorized it, but now I think it's gone. So. Okay, this is called Bony Ghost Tree. I have 1,000 poems that need to be written. My whole life needs releasing. I can feel that a voice needs to put words to it, needs to scream or whisper the words just to prove it. Like after a trauma, your body will shake. Like after giving birth, your body will shake. It's this brilliant thing that our bodies do. Shake out the tension, the past, never the truth. When you keep quiet and make sure everyone else is okay, when you play this role or that role every single day, there comes a point when you just need to shake. This thing, always, always sitting in front of me, cooking limbs like a bony ghost tree, pointing at me, whispering, ooh, like a fucking scary movie. Buttons and gadgets I didn't know what for. That was all until I heard a knock at my door. I thought I had closed that door long ago. Threw the accomplice key into some deep, dark place where no one would go. Thank God, some part of me went there. Thank God, some part of me trudged through the mud and the muck, found the shit-covered key, wanted to help me get unstuck. Because no one would have known to look. I was totally fine, great, actually, an open book. Bring me down, take me off the shelf, and look through my pages and see for yourself, and notice the chapter that shows all the things that I have, all the things. My marriage, my kids, my house and my cars, my vacations, my staycations. I'll stop to be modest. Did you know that that is supposed to be as good as it gets? As good as it gets. Except for that bony ghost tree, all crooked and knobby, always pointing at me. I pretended it wasn't there, pretended it wasn't an important part of my story. How often have you done that, my friend? I'm talking about me, but I'm guessing you've also got your own blood on your hands. From all those knocks you left unanswered, from all those parts needing releasing that you instead pushed down. Like an annoying hair that wouldn't fall into place rather than let it fly free. You took scissors to it and used oil to mat it to your face. You'll conquer those strands rather than see how they want to stand. Well, me too. You're in good company. And about that tree, turns out, it was little old me, always sitting there, pointing to spoken word poetry. It's embarrassing. There's too much passion. Does everything have to be that serious, that staccato, that lilting and lifting, that goddamn vulnerable? What's your thing? What bony fingers tap at you and you call it a tree, rather than what it really is, a sacred treaty between you and your truth, your compass, your inner knowing. Call it what you want. I call it a goddamn feeling that won't go away, will let you pretend, but won't let you stay in that feeling for long before it comes creeping to remind you, dear friend, this is it. This is it. And if we want to get to the end of our story and feel proud and feel true that we've answered our call, we must look our ghosts in the eye like a mirror. We must answer that knock at the door. No matter how scared we are, there's just an internet salesman, no matter if it's the neighbor who knocks for only weird reasons, no matter if it's someone trying to make you believe in Jesus, he'll save your soul. Hell, it could even be the Grim Reaper. But we all gotta go sometime to make this living worth the dying. I promise. You'll want to answer that knock. Because on the other side of that door is little old you, holding out a blank piece of paper and a pen, a banjo, a paintbrush, a microphone, and if you're brave enough to grab it, reach out, though your body shakes, if you're brave enough to take hold, even when you don't know how, I promise to save your own soul.
Thank you very much. Next up, Wesley.
Kind of going off of Adam, I wasn't gonna read this one, but just talking about like words that get hidden, things that we decide are no longer safe in society and things like that. This one's called S word. Fuck doesn't fella hush like it used to. Bitch is more powerful than derogatory, and if I'm the one keeping track of semantics, we don't hide our shit behind closed doors. We lost the modesty for openly talking about drugs, porn, and honest deeds, and honestly, I'm just looking for honesty. But they have censored the King of Hearts. They have rebuilt the silence to trigger warn against the violence, but who are they buzzing for? Because if you walk the path of this damnation, trading scars for a lighter sentence of damnation, then you know damn well the situation. They call suicide unalived, like renaming it makes it less tragic. We'd rather change words than take action, makes us less complicit by a fraction. And here's the thing, I never talked about suicide, and I was still infected. Thought I was better gone than struggling to stay alive. Then Justin killed himself, the happiest friend that I knew. Watched his suicide get covered up by hushed tones and an open casket, his hazy tan skin paled and polluted by the electric blue veins of the shock that dropped him. His long blonde hair lounging on his caged bird chest. The smile they stitched his face into, harrowing on a corpse. Puckered with an incorporeal yelp of one last breath, his last song, forever 18, forever stuck, forever gone, and he could have gone anywhere. His voice was its own wave in the ocean, but he died in the same house he was birthed in and blamed his mother for both. I watched his life end and all of us change. Two friends had made a pact and grew up from the guilt of not holding up their ends. I think about death daily, but I never thought of suicide as a viable option again. And I've lost many people who have, and they never talked about it. The silence only protects those that don't want to hear the whispers to begin with. The ones that say you can always talk, but they don't want to hear what darkness sounds like. And that pitch black heart attack is so lonely. If we lit a candle, made a vigil for every time the shadows consumed our brains, every time we thought we were insane, but carried on, stop talking about blame, start lighting up our survival, instead of festering and fostering our pain, start illuminating our way out, instead of shutting us in. We should talk about it. Talk about why we want to die. Not just say I'm fine and lie. Make the struggle pasteurized, heat it up, make it safe to consume, turn darkness into a womb, not a salt-encrusted wound, and learn to push through. Oh, beautiful, calamitous you. Light can handle this too. Open up and let it in.
Thank you, Wesley. Next, Tyler.
This is a short one. I don't really even know if it's finished or not, but I haven't read it before, and I just wanted to read something new. So, no Tyler, new shit. My dad would tell me, believe half of what you see and even less of what you read. A slight misquote, but that was before we got the internet. Now I need to fact check everything that claims it's been fact checked. Because these reporters betray their morals for a fat enough check. And I've never been so much of a math guy. But I know when I put 2 and 2 together, it never seems to equal 5. I'm alive and well, thanks for asking. All that ghost pipe in the forest, what you doing taking aspirin? I regress, but how is this progress? A pressed pill? Not a seamless stitching when time heals. All in the season of the witch. Call me from the grave again, baby, listen. I'm gonna let it hit my voicemail. Too many cooks in the kitchen. If you can't stand the heat, rid yourself of the burner phone. You know what they do with fresh meat. You boil it down to bone broth. A little something to sip on. Now you've gone soft and supple. I don't mean to burst your bubble. And pop goes the weasel. And this ego does love to be stroked. But you can tell a lot about someone based on how many definitions they have for the word dope. That was pretty rough. It needs to be rewritten a little bit for sure, but one thing I want to say real quick. Yesterday was 4 years of me being clean from heroin and meth. The Writers Guild and the Boys in Poetry Slam and just the poetry community in Bloomington is like, I know I couldn't have gotten clean and stayed clean if it weren't for these spaces. So, thank you all.
We love you.
Thanks, Tyler. Thanks for being here. Brian Price.
I'd like to say that I'm 68 years old and writing and poetry has ruined my life. I was talking to a old friend in San Francisco, and I had finally gotten him to listen to an audiobook I'd written about 12 years ago, and he said, you know, it's kind of cool, I didn't have to buy it. It's in the San Francisco Public Library. So, wow, that was pretty cool. So I'm going to read just the first couple pages of the first chapter. This is called the Recollections of Turner Ashby. Memories of the years when the oceans rose and several states were separated asunder. Although I am often asked about the early days of the separate states, or as I like to say, the ephemeral nations, it is a rare occasion that I'm prodded to discuss what I remember best, and perhaps more personally, about those seminal years of the early 30s, the 2030s, when the acute shiftings of the world's trade winds and the advanced meltings of the Arctic ice floes collided with truly significant political upheavals in a society that was decidedly digitized. I've written extensively on the collapse, takeover, and final dissolution of the United States federal government and the tax indentures that followed. I pride myself on the fact that I can still summon a fairly detailed account of the embryonic and rather vicious politics of those early fractured days of the 2020s and 2030s. And I would stress that there was definitely a before and an after to the summer of 2031. The world would never be the same. That summer, the oceans rose 4 feet a month, 7 feet over 2 years. The price of beef cattle, precious metals, soybeans, all rose 10, 20, 100-fold. And the United States of America finally shattered into a motley list of 53 all rest of the spirited nations, one of which was the Commonwealth of Virginia. My nation, I suppose, to have and to hold. Virginians have always been rather sentimental about their states' rights. That summer, I was 16 years old, going on 17, almost 17. And that summer was much like any other summer for a 16-year-old. If you squinted, stuck a dead fish up your nose and tossed your computer across the floor. There was a swirling madness to that summer. But I can't say there was the threat of standing ankle deep in the swelling waters of the James River, or the threat of being sent to Texas to work off my family's tax debt that made me truly realize the world was capable of being a crushing and capricious monster. No, that was left to the day that Lady Fitzgerald kissed me goodbye. She brushed my cheek so lightly with the back of her fingers and tried to smile, and I leaned close, so close our foreheads touched. Her hand in mine, she pulled my hand to her breast, and I would have promised her anything a 16-year-old could promise. I was certain that we'd never see each other again, and of course, with hindsight, I realized that Lays and I were always saying goodbye. That was the pattern, the most consistent and most recognizable pattern of our lives. and each goodbye was always just as sweet and just as devastating as the first. Blaze and I have been schoolmates half our lives. Ours was one of the last classes educated entirely in the public sector and educated on physical school grounds as opposed to sitting in front of our ubiquitous thumb screens. My father, who was a judge and had been a federal appellate judge at that, insisted. He held the quaint notion that there was a common thread and inherent goodness in being educated among the common man, and that having a building with halls and bricks, musty radiators, and even books was a good thing. He'd been shot once, gunned down on a busy corner in his own dear city of Richmond, further his beliefs. Luckily, my father was wearing Kevlar body armor. Most federal employees did back in those days. A little warm and snug in the Virginia heat, but he was spared. My father, the Honorable Warwick Ashby, was, as the politicos of the era called, a neo-federalist, and as if he was being accused of being in cahoots with Alexander Hamilton himself. The name of James Madison, George Mason, Thomas Paine were often bandied about to settle or start any kind of political arguments. The idea, it seemed to me at my young age, was there was a firm belief that if you talked about the government long enough, and especially federal government, and if you talked about it long enough and said enough nasty things about it, it would simply give up and disappear. And so it did. Blaze and I were the children of ignoble and endangered species, bureaucrats. My father and Blaze's father, Frederick Fitzgerald, everybody knew him as Freddie, were acquaintances and were bound together by the simple fact that they were sworn to uphold the Constitution and to do their jobs. And my father was a judge, and Blaze's father was the head of the United States Internal Revenue Service in Mid-Atlantic Division. In other words, he was a tax collector. Made these two men paramount to the devil in the Free Staters' eyes. And so, on that day of our goodbye, on July 12, 2031, it was a minty day. Once or twice a week, the city, most cities in the United States, sprayed to freshen the air. It was perhaps not absolutely necessary, but it wasn't a bad thing. The air was often foul. And this week, it was minty. Sometimes they sprayed musk, sometimes watermelon. Ladies like minty best. I like cinnamon myself. And I'll leave you there, just real. We are born into a world of vast absurdity. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Joan Hawkins.
We love Joan!
Thank you. So, first of all, shout out to Tyler. This is a teaser. I'm going to read the first part of a story that I'm planning to read at 4th Street. And I'm going to be reading Saturday, August 30th at 3:30. So if you want to hear the rest of this, you should show up. So this is called Mice. See, there were mice there all the time, gnawing at shipping cartons, nesting in the corner. Sometimes I could hear them in the walls. And then there was the trail of droppings. It was not a pleasant place to eat lunch, but we had no choice. We, being the employees of D&B Sales, a low-rent discount and liquidation emporium located in the heart of San Francisco's Tenderloin District. D&B Sales bought inventory from tonier places that had gone under and turned it, selling it at discounted prices to stockbrokers and law offices in the financial district. We never knew exactly what we'd have.
rolls of adding machine tape but no typing paper, telephone message pads without pens. It was what my mom called a grab bag. The mice were in the attic, alias storeroom, alias employee lounge, which is where we more or less had to eat lunch. We only got a half hour, barely enough time to use the washroom and wolf down the sandwiches we brought from home. Certainly not enough time to walk 3 long city blocks to the nearest diner. And Mr. Benatar, who was so generous in other ways, was an absolute Scrooge about lunch. God help the poor sod who was 2 minutes late clocking back in. And it was the Tenderloin, the bad side of the trolley tracks dividing Market Street from Mission. So there were no parks or public squares nearby for picnic breaks, no nice fountains where we could kick off our shoes and cool our feet on a warm Indian summer day. This was the checks cashed here and payday loan side of downtown. And our well-heeled customers always looked a little disoriented when they met the panhandlers standing just outside the door. I was a sometimes cashier who also worked the greeting card section. Mr. B bought boxes of discontinued and rejected greeting cards, most of them without envelopes. He also bought boxes of envelope surplus. My job was to fit the dog-eared cards with envelopes of more or less appropriate size, and to turn these mismatched and rematched Hallmark cast-offs into alluring displays. Now, I could have done this job wearing sneakers or clogs, but Mr. B liked his girls, as he called us, to look sharp. And in the era of narrow, pointed toe, sling-backed, high-heeled shoes, looking sharp meant that my feet hurt all the time. So at lunch, I wanted to sit with my feet up on a packing carton, read a book, and eat my salami sandwich in peace. Which brings us back to the mice. They were wily. In true Tom and Jerry fashion, they could steal bait from a mousetrap and spring it without getting hurt. The poison that Fred, the floor manager, brought seemed like candy to them. They only got fatter and sleeker when he started spreading the pellets. You didn't get that here, did you? Tom asked him. Probably expired. But even uptown poison didn't faze our mice. They just gobbled it down, sat back and washed their little faces with their germy paws, preening. As much as we disliked them, we grew to have a grudging respect. Pugnacious little bastards they were, survivors. Clearly, the only solution was to get a cat. Or at least, that's what the white girls said.
Thanks, Jim. Tony Matthew.
Hey!
I'm going to read 2 poems. Both of them are about war. The first one is my memories of my town I lived in England during the Second World War being bombed. Houses of war. These houses have no locks. These houses have no doors. These houses have no rooms. Only spaces where walls and ceilings used to be, where stoves heated porridge and boiled eggs, where bathtubs waited for children, beds welcomed lovers. Basements from which the coal has been stolen are open to the air, choked with rubble, plaster, bricks, floorboards, shards of glass. Where roofs once were, only memories of children playing in attics among old trunks and unused furniture. Where a lone wall still stands, tattered wallpaper, ends of beams, broken window frames, shredded curtains, and over it all, the odor of fire. In the garden's herbaceous borders are smothered in weeds. Only foxgloves rise tall. In this wilderness, children roam. The gardens become their jungles, the houses their territories, unexplored and unmapped, to which they need no key. These crumbling, treacherous ruins where wild creatures hide become mountain ranges, caves, mazes, ancient cities, where battles, deeds of daring are enacted. The remains of gone lives, fragments of china, glass, wisps of fabric, a doll's arm, a broken building block, a grabbed, bartered, fought over. In these forbidden lands of danger, where displaced people also roam, the only key is reckless daring, subterfuge, and disobedience. The second poem I want to read recognizes that this is the 80th anniversary that we bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And I came to write it after I had seen the Nagasaki Journey archive, the photos of Yusaki Yamchata, and this poem doesn't do. It doesn't begin to touch what the photos look like, but I wanted to represent it in some way. After the roar of the explosion, silence is heard. Silent brown dust falling. On the rolled back eyes of children, fangs fall together on the steps of splintered front door. Scorched leaves of cherry trees drift over them. Jaw of skin-peeled skull held closed by fallen slab. Crooked vacant playground, shattered swings empty, slides unused. Closed mouth baby with bandaged head. Blistered hands of man bathed by kneeling nurse. Rice bowl child stuffs in its mouth. Only sounds in the silent dust. Heavy boots of rescue squad kick their ways through entry arch, jammed with stones of city walls, broken branches of creasy dogwoods, step over twisted bicycle, climb between stones of collapsed houses, echoing in shattered sewer pipe, clamber out into a grove of Japanese maples, now splintered tree trunks. Above, around, snow-covered mountains, silent, still.
Thanks, Antonio. Hiromi Yoshida.
That's a really moving poem, and I would have brought my own Hiroshima and Nagasaki poem if I'd known that. Many of us would do that. But instead, I have a poem that is forthcoming in the most recent anthology of the New Generation Beats. And it's called Sequel to Allen Ginsberg's America. I wrote this during the Obama administration, but sadly enough, it is still very relevant. America, why are your guns pointed in every wrong direction? America, why are your coffers filled with tears, and blood, and bullets? America, why are you keeping A million dead sunflowers in your unkempt backyards. America, why are your taxpayers calling the president the N-word when they have better things to do, like report to work at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time? I'm talking to you with a mouthful of exorbitant cheek. America, how can we learn to pray in the sanctified churches of imagination and call it neither neurosis nor masturbation? America, how can we petition our senators without libeling them needlessly? America, when are you going to tighten your belt appropriately to eliminate the problem of obesity? America, when will you admit that you've had enough jello? America, when will your libraries and schools and churches become sufficiently bulletproof? America, when will you quit telling the homeless to go home? America, when will the dust of your roads settle in all the right places? America, when will your dumpsters quit overflowing with wholesale yards of commodities? America, when will you quit blaming your victims? Will you gallop away on your high horse again? America, when will you stop blaming all your problems on immigrants, liberals, and daylight savings? America, when will you quit feeding your people ribeye, steak, and chocolate mint ice cream? America, when will your people quit taking a dump in their neighbors' backyards? America, when will they learn to clean up after themselves without the help of Mr. Clean? America, when will they learn that Timothy McVeigh information was actually TMI? America, when will you quit shooting heroin up your rainbow-colored arms? America, when will you embrace your rainbow-colored people? America, when will your acolytes learn to masturbate properly? America, when will your avocados ripen at the right time? America, when will your children know it's time to go home? America, when will the peep show of government transparency come to an end? America, when will death cease to be the exorbitant price for being gay? America, when will we hear the zen thunderclap of one our private hand? America, when will your politicians quit splitting pubic hairs in the chambers of commerce and masturbation? America, when will your wet dreams evaporate into desiccated bone reality? America, when will Allen Ginsberg's ghost appear before us in the lonely, hopeless, wild glare of imagination, in the tattered regalia of madness and dystopia like a discarded homosexual angel? America, it's time for all of us to pay up with all the green pennies we've gathered from the sidewalk cracks on our makeshift wall streets. Thank you.
Thanks, Romy. Eric Rinsberger.
Okay, this is something I probably read once a year, but some years I'm only reading it to myself. So, this is called Summer Praises. I want to point out we've had kind of a wet summer this year. Summer praises, the ground filling rain, the rain like spray, the rain driven to violence by the sharp angles of the wind, the strange rain coming briefly while the sun shines, the soft rain yesterday washing into today's brightness, the rain at night that shelters your sleep, the rumbles, shouts, and split flashes that are rain's accompaniment, the rain that digs the dirt and softens it till the sunflowers keel over, the rain talking over stones, the gloomy rain that conditions your thoughts, the loving rain, the harsh one, the one that will not leave, the rain that hides in the cellar or jumps off the roof, the satisfying rain and the one that only teases, the rain in your hand, the rain on your shoulders, the rain with a rhythm of blood drowsing you, the rain walking home beside you, the rain apart from you, the rain that never stops singing, the weary rain that wishes to stop, the rain that kills the memory of drought with its own green hands, the rain marks in the dust, the rust that remembers rain, the results of rain in tall crops, thick air, and mosquitoes, the rain holding your thoughts in its pocket like a letter, the rain going into your mind through your ears, the delight of rain, the boredom of rain, the sleepiness of rain, the rendering of rain as Crayola lines, the rain you've grown up with, and the new rain about to fall, the things touched by rain that are gone when the rain comes again, the rain when it was in the clouds was not rain but clouds, the clouds when they visit are not clouds but rain, the rain changes itself and others, the rain dries off, the sun is strong, you sit under a tree sheltering as you did from the rain, only now from the sun, and the shadows rain down on you. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Marilyn Wolf.
Can you hear me without the mic?
Yes.
Okay. This is called Reluctant Actors in a Bad Play. You have cancer, he mumbled. No compassion or emotion. Wait, what? Routine to him, I suppose, but not to us. And our journey began. Our life became a backdrop to the cancer. It ruled, it demanded, it slowed and sped. We, actors in its play, gave and gave and gave and gave as the director, also its puppet, demanded we repeat, relearn, restructure our parts continuously, over and over and over, never meeting the cancer's daily criteria. Nurses, doctors, techs, also forced into production. They thought they were treating him, without knowing they were too often bit players and understudies. The meds and IVs and infusion center and parking lot and elevators and cafeteria and pharmacy and loose soft clothes and the yogurt stand and warm blankets and the port were the props with which we were forced to interact to play our parts to the best of our abilities. The meds and schedules consumed our home. 100 different bottles in the fridge, bathroom, bedroom, paper products, needles, wheelchair were our script and must be memorized before the next rehearsal. Or was it the actual play? It was difficult to know just which we were on which day when the actors, stage, and props seemed to change at will. In the end, cancer wrenched the stage from us. The reviews were in and the actors all failed. Cancer took the applause, and I watched from the back of the theater alone. This is called Homage to Holy Hips. She turns away, my joy, those hips. So magnificent she should walk into a room backwards. Ruching rounds these holy hips, highlighting flowing from back to legs. Her hourglass waist, the roundness of the sun follows her. Undulations sublime, ululations reply. Her holy hips live in my dream palace. Laying my head on their roundness, what mystery happens here? If heaven is round, it will be these hips. I will follow these hips anywhere.
Thanks, Marilyn. Trick Blanchfield.
I came here for Sully, Siren, and Adam, and I didn't realize that there was an open mic afterwards, so I was kind of scrambling during the break to figure out whether I wanted to read something beautiful or ugly. And turns out the last time I felt this ugly was when I was moving to Indianapolis, like 8 or 9 years ago. And one of my coping mechanisms, I was writing my second book, Permafrost, at home, and the only way that I could purge what I was feeling at the time was to go to this coffee shop around the corner, Calvin Fletcher's in Fountain Square, and I hid this little notebook in the bookshelves there, and I wrote there what I couldn't write in my home, and turns out some people found it, and they started adding to the pages, and I wrote this poem in response to a line that was left that said, "The emotional, social, and psychological conditioning begins when the doctor says it's a girl, it's a boy." I was taught to be impenetrable, though I am programmed to receive a bolt of lightning to my womb, a vessel for your seed. Disobey, I bleed through the sheets that should protect me. This violence bred from lack of care to ward away distraction. But give it up, I am a cunt, I am a whore, I am a slut, and this infection spreads through me with violence to my legacy. You call me a slut, and the burden of proof is on me, thinking I fulfill every desire that isn't yours, as if the consequence for your neglect is to sacrifice my course. Correct. I take space in patient pandemonium. And at once I have ascended from a maiden to a crone. Easy virtues topple faith when fathers are unknown. And I'm told, don't be selfish. I'm told next time, be discreet. Next time, suck his honey cock. Next time, take it and say please. Give him something to respect. He knows your pussy's always wet for him, and he'll take it, if you please. On the street, at the club, when you're asleep, the pills dissolve till you're at peace. You're underneath, my darling, he'll feel every part of you that still remains incomplete. Now, why you crying? Girl, please. You asked for it, stop lying. Just pretend your face the kindness and know the scars will heal in time. Just accept him now for who he is. You don't know how hard it is when inside there's a vacancy. You don't know how hard it is when mirrors show discrepancies and intrepid needs prove carnal greed to simulate the cost. Just understand how hard it is for nice guys to find love, and girl, they're all nice guys, just guarded. So just play along and smile. Don't be bitchy. Don't be needy. Don't assume. Just fuck wild and don't be greedy. So he's dipping into other girls. Shit, bae, you're stretched, unfurled. You're old, girl. You're ran through. Girl, you're thirsty, girl. Hey, girl. Hey, you got a nice ass, girl. Goddamn, girl, those bitches real. I want to slit your throat and fuck it. Girl, I love the way your tears taste. Girl, your body, my choice. It's not up to you, girl, but baby, you my soulmate. Girl, baby, hey, my girl, girl, fuck you, ugly, girl, girl, bitch, hey, girl. Where's your fucking man? Fucking bitches. Never giving nice guys a chance.
Thank you, sir. Mark.
Here's a poem about one of my friends, a lesbian pirate captain. She eats her dinner with a silver spoon, the catfish clean in the comfort of her kitchen. She rocks in her rocking chair, rocking to the tune of the cutthroat killer's dancing on the roof above her room. She smiles. Never let a sailor take advantage of an old woman, never mind how long it's been. 21 days since we've seen the shore, and the beans are burning. Throw them overboard. No, wait, I have a plan. To get these nasty galls out of our hair and feed our crew of hungry men. We'll poison the pan, and when them nasty galls come down to eat their fill, we'll have them then. How many more do you think it'll take before their hull begins to break? I wonder. How many cannonballs will send? Well, my friend, it all depends on the plunder. She eats her dinner with the silver spoon, the catfish queen in the comfort of her kitchen. She rocks in her rocket chair, rocket to the tune. The cutthroat killers dancing on the roof above her room. She smiles. Never let a sailor take advantage of an old woman. Never mind how long it's been. 21 days since we've seen the shore. And the sirens singing from the starboard side, singing, oh men, come on in. Come on in. The water is fine. Oh men, come on in. The water is fine. I'm bound to go, I'm bound. You must restrain me, tie me to the mast, and don't unchain me. We'll drink that big bottle up tonight. Drink it up, it'll be all right, all right, all right, you scallywags, you animals, you salty dogs. We're drinking bourbon, boys. It's tough as piss and pure as poison. And when the Navy comes, we'll knock them down and string them up. How many more do you think it'll take before their hull begins to break? I wonder. How many cannonballs we'll send? Well, my friend, it all depends on the plunder. She eats her dinner with the silver spoon, the catfish queen in the comfort of her kitchen. She rocks in her rocket chair, a rocket to the tune of the cutthroat killers dancing on the roof above her room. She smiles. Never let a sailor take advantage of an old woman. Never mind how long it's been. 21 days since we've seen the shore.
Cynthia.
I'm gonna send you all to go to sleep. That was so fun. This morning, my skin felt the sunrise. A delicate gold brightened behind bluer than blue clouds. It wasn't supposed to be that way, but it was. The golden sprinkles grew from the place where the sun began to show itself. And that gold peached into the sky, which hadn't yet decided which color to glow. The trees were so still, waiting for the sun's show to end, so they could let the movement of the light touch them. There were no bird songs that morning, so light held sway even over every facet of the air.
Thanks, Cynthia. William Rains.
I never know when I'm gonna write, but it's usually when I should be doing something else. So I wrote this at work. It's called Ode to the Morning. Awake, arduously I amble about, astutely aware of absent Apollo. Begrudgingly bemoaning birds, beauteous bellowing, and beset by the callous cavalcade of consciousness, now crying contentious within my cranium. Dutifully I drive, despondent, to my destination. Energy altogether escapes me effortlessly, ethereal and exempt from further forethought beyond fervent fondness for Folgers. Greedily gulping gallons of the gorgeous galvanizing grog, our hero is hitherto heartened and hastily heaves the cries of help. Incessant ignorance inspires imprecation, justified in jest and jauntily judged just, keeping a kind of kind-heartedness despite a kaleidoscope of killjoys. Laughing, I languish the litany of loathsome and ludicrous implorations laid loose. My meandering mind mingles with madness as madcap musings of murder make merry with nuanced notions of nefariousness, nuddling the mind in non-stop in my unending opined offerings of ostensibly innocuous observations. Put pointedly, people perpetually piss me off. Quieting quandaries and questions by the quadrillions, raking my mind roughshod, responding rightly and respectfully, I finally regard the time. Son of a... Seriously? Said I, stupefied and succinctly stunned, that so little time has trudged tiresomely toward the day's terminus. unbelievably underlining, unequaled, unending, untoward, and unsavory villainy, driven, vexing, and verifiably vulgar. Time waxes woefully while I wistfully watch the clock. Xerotic eyes, almost xenogenic gaze as though cast in xylography. Yonder and yearning for years past, yearning for youthfulness. Zounds. Upon this zenith, I realize I've zoned out a bit. Fuck yes, lunchtime.
Awesome, thank you, William. Anybody else? Is there anyone here who hasn't read? I think everyone in the room. Oh, Kyle, do you want to read something?
No.
Okay. All right, that's going to be it then. Thank you all for being here. Thanks again to our amazing features, our trio, Siren Hand, Dr. Adam Henze, Sully, Sullivan. Thank you all for being here. And thank you to our open micers for really being fantastic. And thanks to Backspace for having us. Be sure and join us next month, the second Thursday. It's it's the 11th, September 11th, with Jason Bollinger and John Dorsey, Music to Be Determined. Be sure and come see us at 4th Street Festival. Come see the spoken word stage, the 30th and the 31st later this month. And happy birthday once again to Kyle, and happy birthday to James Dorr. Thank you both once again. Thank you all again. Have a good night. Thank you.